the next paper. This is 2016 July GCE. So 2016 we've handled the first part, and now we are looking at the 2016 July, which is a GCE. All right, let us look at the first question here. Okay, so let us answer the GCE 2016 paper, biology paper 1. So what was the first question here? Which characteristic of living organism is described by the following? Permanent increase in size or permanent increase in size of an organism. This is the growth. So you need to know the characteristics of living organisms. That is the movement, excretion, respiration, growth, movement, and all that. So you need to know all those. Question 2. What are the correct function of the following specialized cells? Root hair cell is absorption of water, phloem conduction of sucrose or organic material, then xylem conduction of water. So absorption, conduction of sucrose, then conduction of water. The answer is A, no doubt. Question 3. The diagram shows the apparatus used to investigate osmosis. As you can see, narrow tube, level of water, concentrated solution, distilled water. So initially we have this tube with concentrated solution inside, then outside you have distilled water. So expect this water to leave and comes out, and the solution is called hypotonic solution. Now, what are the questions? No, you expect the solution to, please, here let me just make some amendments. Here, since it's concentrated inside, so expect the water to go inside, and of course the level here to do what? To increase. So increase in level. So what is the answer? Molecules that pass through the selectively permeable membrane is the water. There's water outside here, so it closes the membrane into the inside. So what passes is water. So here, not the answer. Level of P. So level of P will increase because water closes. So the answer is D. Let us continue. Question 4. In the phylum Arthropoda, which of the following characteristic correct identifies the class Insecta? So some of the questions that we've answered, you know that insects, they have 3 body parts and of course 3 pairs of legs. So number of many body parts is 3. So those that have 2 and 4, no. Pair of legs is 3. Pair of wings, it is what is the pair of wings here? So we have 3, 2. Okay, 3, 3. Then what is the pair of what? What is the pair of wings? So for this one, the pair of wings is 2. So the answer therefore is C. So 3, 3, 2. The pair of wings is 2. Okay. Which of the following signs indicate that a plant is lacking magnesium? So lacking of magnesium, this is chlorophyll. So lack of chlorophyll results in what we call chlorosis. That is chlorosis, if I'm not mistaken with the spelling, but otherwise just a lack of chlorophyll. So yellowing of leaves. So yellow leaves and the yellow stem. So that is the result. What do you think is the answer here? Then question 6. The diagram shows the amount of oxygen produced by the green plant growing outdoor during 24 hours period, which letter represent the midday. So oxygen produced, green plant. So oxygen is produced when the rate of photosynthesis is high. So the level of oxygen during which letter represent midday. So midday you have a lot of light, and therefore you expect the rate of photosynthesis to be high, and oxygen is produced the most. So we only have these that have the highest point. So the answer is A. Question 7. Which substances are needed for the formation of healthy bones and teeth? No doubt, calcium and vitamin D. So calcium and vitamin D. Question 8. The diagram shows the alimentary canal. Which labeled structure produces an acidic digestive juice? Which structure produces an acidic digestive juice? So the structure that produces an acidic digestive juice here is the stomach. So which arrow is pointing at the stomach? It is A. Question 9. The diagram below shows the villus. Which of the following correctly describes the function of the numbered parts? So the numbered parts, in as much as we can see them, so these are blood vessels, that is for 1. Then of course 2 is pointing at the lacteal. Then of course here it is pointing at the epithelium. So 1, we are saying 1, absorb digestive fats. No. Absorb digestive fat. So this is that absorb digestive fat. Digestive fat is by the lacteal. So absorb glucose, yes. Produces digestive fats. Does 2 produces digestive fat? Produce digestive fat? No. Absorbs. So glucose absorbs digestive fats, then produces mucus. So the answer here we can go for D. Question 10. The diagram shows the transverse section of a dicot root and the dicot stem. Which tissue carries out sucrose in solution? So sucrose is carried out in the phloem, and therefore it's R, which is the outside part. If you have this, the outside part is the phloem. Then of course the inside part is xylem. Then for this, the star-like in the middle here is the xylem. Then what is outside is the phloem. So P and D R. Let us proceed to question 11. Which condition will increase the rate of transpiration in plants? So transpiration is affected by, these are conditions: temperature, humidity, wind speed. Now, they need to be high temperature, yes. Humidity is the amount of water vapor in the atmosphere. So the higher it is, which means the lower the rate of transpiration, because there's no concentration gradient for water to diffuse. So it has to be low, and the higher wind speed. So the answer is high, low, high. A woman has a fever or has fewer red blood cells than normal. What would be the effect of this? Now, red blood cells, they carry oxygen. So fewer of these will result into the body not get enough oxygen. Question 13, the diagram shows the transverse section of the human heart. Which labeled vessel in the vein? Which labeled vessel is the vein that carries oxygenated blood? So the one that carries oxygenated blood is D. This is called pulmonary what? Pulmonary vein. And this is the route through which blood enters the left atrium. And of course, before it goes to the ventricles, which is the left ventricles, for transportation to the all parts of the body through the aorta. Question 14, the diagram represents the liver, kidney, and some of the associated blood vessels. In which blood vessel will the blood contain the lowest concentration of urea? So the one that will contain lowest concentration of the urea is the one that has passed through the kidney and now leaving the kidney, and that is the part C. 15. The end product of anaerobic respiration in yeast cells are, so yeast cells, end product of anaerobic respiration. So we have carbon dioxide and the ethanol. What are the end product of digestion? I mean, what are the end product here? What are the end product? Is it carbon dioxide and ethanol? So ethanol is produced here. So the answer there here is that is for question 15. The answer here is carbon dioxide and the ethanol. Okay. Lactic acid is produced in lactic fermentation. Water, no. Then we have ethanol. Question 16. What happened to the diaphragm, external intercostal muscles, during inspiration? So during inspiration, the diaphragm is normally dome-shaped. So when you take in air, it flattens and contracts. So contract. Okay, so these that are relaxing, no. External intercostal muscles as well contract. So contract, contract. So the answer is A. Have a look at question 17. The diagram shows an experiment to investigate respiration in germinating seed, soda lime, absorb carbon dioxide. Okay. Which direction does the colored water move? Which direction does the colored water move? So, is it to the left for P? Is it to the right for Q? So, this question, be able to answer it. So, this is 2016 July. So, be able to answer question 17, please. Question 18, the diagram below shows the root meristem. Which part is the region of cell division? Now, let me just give an example of a root. So, a root is like this. Okay, this part is the root cap. Okay, root cap, and simply protects the root or help the root as it penetrates the soil. Then immediately here, that is where you find the cells division or cell division. Then next, going up, that is where you find elongation. Then of course up, that is where you find fertilization. That's where you find specialization. So here, to look at this part, I would say cell division is occurring at D. Now, this I would consider is the root cap. Okay, it's a root cap. Then of course this bottom part is the meristem. Okay, what do you think of this? The diagram might not be clear, but I think from here you are able to see that. Question 20, the diagram shows the life cycle of a mosquito. Which stages X, Y, Z? What are the stages X, Y, Z? So egg, hatch to, that is a larva. So this is the larval stage. Then larval becomes pupa. Then pupa, this is the adult mosquito. Is it mosquito? Yes, adult mosquito. So X is the larva. So where is adult? No. Then Y is the pupa. Then of course adult. So the answer is D. Question 20. The diagram shows part of the dialysis machine. So the dialysis machine, we've looked at one question at some point. So blood in, then of course blood out. What is the question? Which substance in the dialysis fluid should be at lower concentration than in the blood? In the dialysis fluid should be at lower concentration than in the what? In the blood. So it is urea and salt, so that it can be lost from the blood. It can be lost to this fluid and be able to or be removed. Question 21, the diagram, the graph shows the changes in the person body temperature plotted against the time. What causes the change in the temperature below? So the temperature was high, then over a sudden it started falling to Q. Increase in temperature? No. Increase in evaporation of water in the sweat? No. Reduced blood flow through the capillary. So we are suspecting that this person would have, is it reduced blood flow? Now, if it reduces blood flow, what will happen? Which means the temperature does decreases. Then shivering, is it shivering? No, the temperature is decreasing. So shivering would increase the temperature. So increase in evaporation of water in the sweat, reduce flow through the surface of the capillary. So for me, I would go for this one, but is also be the possible answer. What do you think is the answer right here? Okay. Then what effect would an increase in glucagon have on human body? You know that glucagon and insulin, the way they work, glucagon or insulin, when you have a lot of sugar in the body, it converts it to the storage form, which is the glycogen. Then when you have low in the body, glucagon reverses or convert stored form or convert glycogen to glucose. So concentration of glucose or glycogen in the liver decrease because it converts to glucose. Then glucose increases. So the answer is A. Which of the following correctly distinguish a toxic response from a tropic response? So toxic response involves movement of the whole organism, while tropic just parts. Which part of the brain is responsible for osmoregulation? So osmoregulation is called the hypothalamus. What about the cerebellum? What about the cerebrum? What about the cerebellum? What about the cerebrum? What about the medulla oblongata? What is the function of these parts? Which substances are deplassant? So which substances are deplassant? So alcohol is a deplassant, nicotine is not, so alcohol and heroin. So the answer is B. Okay. Where are we? We continue. Question 26. Which pair of structure focus light on the retina? So the lens refract the light so that it can come there. So the main function of a lens is diffraction. So one of the part is 4. So those that have 4. Okay, so the answer is 2 and D. No, not 4, please. We are talking of 3. So those that have 3, so we consider these 2, not this, not this. So those that have 2, which is 3, which is a lens, and also 1. So 1 and 3. 1 is it a cornea? Also, much of the function is refraction of light. Question 27. The diagram below shows the bone from a forelimb. What is the name of the bone and which of the joint does it come from? So, what is the answer to this question? So, this is question 27. So, please make sure you supply the answer to this question. Question 28. A diagram shows the many bones and muscle of the arm. What happens when the muscle P contract? So, when the muscle P contract, the hand is pulled up. So, the arm rotates, arm is raised. So, this is question 28. So, the answer is C. The upper arm is raised. The diagram below shows part of or shows the form of asexual reproduction. Diagram below shows a form of asexual reproduction. What is the name given to the organism labeled P? What is the name given to the organism labeled? What is the name given to the vegetative structure labeled P? So the vegetative structure labeled P is called, what do you call this? It is called the runner. Question 30. In the plant reproduction, the following processes occur: fertilization, growth of a pollen tube, pollination, seed germination. Which order do these processes occur? Which order do these processes occur? So it all starts with pollination, which is 3. Then it comes to growth of a pollen tube. So 3, 2. Then fertilization, then germination of. So here the answer is a C. That is question 30. Question 31. A woman ovulates on 7th of January. In which week will her next menstrual period begin? What do you think is the answer here? Remember, for ovulation, if she ovulates on 7th, that is her day 14. Okay, so count 14 days from that. When is the menstrual period going to occur? Question 31. Which of the following statement describe the effect of smoking on a baby in a pregnant mother? So it's all about weight loss and reduced growth. So reduced growth rate and birth weight. Question 33. Which of the following parasite requires a freshwater snail to complete its life cycle? That is Schistosoma, the one for Bilharzia. 34. Which one of the following is the best effective way of avoiding HIV infection by someone who is not infected. Avoid sexual intercourse. Having one sexual partner. Use condom during sexual intercourse. Use spermicide. So, which of the following is the most effective way of avoiding HIV infection by someone who is not infected? It might not be necessarily avoiding sexual intercourse, but consistent use of condom can prevent that. Question 35. The diagram below shows the simple version of energy flow through the food chain. What happened to the energy leaving the decomposers? So what happened to the energy leaving the decomposers is that it is lost in form of heat. Okay, lost in form of heat. Which of the following, that is question 36, which of the following part of carbon cycle? The diagram below shows the carbon cycle, which later represent phosphorylation. So phosphorylation is just a formation of fossil fuels. That is what we call phosphorylation. So here you find carbon in fuel or fossil fuel. C is the phosphorylation. Which of the following is the effect of deforestation? Effect of deforestation. Increase, that is decrease carbon dioxide content in the air, decrease flooding of low-lying area, increase rainfall, increase rate of soil erosion. So it increases rate of soil erosion. An insect has 42 chromosomes. Each of its muscle cell. An insect has 42 chromosomes in each of its muscle cell. How many chromosomes are there in egg? So half of that is 21. So the answer is 21. Okay, now coming to the other question. If the allele if the allele for round seed is dominant to the allele for wrinkled. So allele for round seed is dominant. So round seed we can put capital R. Dominant for wrinkled seed we put small letter r. How many wrinkled seed can be obtained in 200 heterozygous plant to yield 1500 round seed? So here the first thing, you're going to carry out the crossing. So you're going to put up a simple crossing, otherwise known as a Punnett square. So this is composed of 4 boxes. So there you can write R, R. They are heterozygous that you are crossing. So which means we are crossing R and R. Then we say R and R gives us R, R. R, R. R, R. Then here R, R. So in other words, the ratio of the dominant, that is for round to wrinkled, is 3 to 1. Now that we have a ratio, we can find now the total ratio. Here we are given that 1500 is for round one. Now they want us to find the wrinkled one. How do you do it? So the total ratio is 4. So 3, which is 4 round, is given over 4 total ratio. Multiply by the total, which is we don't know. We can put x is equals to 1500. That is how they found 1500 by simply multiplying the total by the that is the ratio. So here we are going to find this, multiply that is 3x equal to 15. Here I've just close multiply by 4. So divide 3, x is equals to 5, that is 5 multiplied by, is it 5? This is 1500, please. So which means I'm remaining with let me just do it this way. So we are going to have what I'm trying to multiply is 3x is equals to that, multiply that is going to give us 600. Divide 3, divide 3. X is equals to 200 because 3 into 6 is 2. So, is it 200? Yeah. This is 6,000. It's 2,000, I mean. So, X is equals to 2,000. Now, this was the total. Now, since we want to find, you know that the ratio of what is round and also what is wrinkled, their ratio, if you add them, give you the total. So since we have the total, to find the wrinkled, so wrinkled is going to be total minus round. So what is the total? 2,000 minus okay, so to find now, since now that we have the cross of this and also the ratio, we know the ratio. So here we just needed to pick the ratio of the wrinkled or the round to the wrinkled, which is the 3 to 1. We'll have to find what was the total. So to find what was the total, we can say 3 over 4. That is the total ratio is 4. Then 3 for round, because we are given the total for round. Multiply by x. X is the total, equals to 15. So when you find, or the ratio of the amount of the round one in the total is 1,500. And now here we can simply say this multiply that. So we are going to have 3x here is equals to 60,000 divide 3. Also here divide 3. So we have x is equals to, this is 6,000 please, if you multiply, so 6,000, that is the, if you divide here, it's going to give you 2,000. So the total was 2,000. Now to find the wrinkled one, we are going to subtract the total minus what was for round. And this gives us 500. So the answer therefore is D. I guess you've picked something from the calculations. Finally, question 40. The diagram shows the family pedigree in which members have sickle cell anemia. Which person have 2 arrows for sickle cell? So the shaded part we are told is sickle cell. So the one that is shaded, it's not shaded, this is shaded. So the answer is A. Okay. So that is the answer to this